Right, Keith, so how have you been, mate?
Yeah, good mate. It's been a been a weird one, isn't it? After COVID and everything that's been going on, and just trying to get back to the real world again now, isn't it? So not
Yeah,
too bad.
yeah, good man, mate, good man. And we'll talk a little bit about it later, but the comeback is upon us for you, mate, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
So
before we get stuck into your rugby story, mate, where was home for you and who lived at home with you?
so grew up in Cardiff. Cardiff, pretty much city centre. It's a place called Rumney, and I got to be real clear on this. It's Rumney with an R-U. There's a Rumney with R-H, which is in the valleys, and that's not me. But
Oh,
yeah,
right, okay.
but yeah, I grew up in Cardiff with my sister, mum, and dad. I think what age did I leave from there? What was I? I think I was about nine or ten. I moved to a very quiet, so a hell of a difference. Went from the city centre to a place about 30 or 40 minutes away, which was a hamlet. And
Right.
what a shock to the system that was, going to live in the middle of a field from a city. My best mate was a cow. So that was a change. So I lived there then for a couple of years, and then eventually moved back into a town then, similar area, but a town. And that's when I turned into a 16-year-old after that point. So yeah, growing up in Cardiff with a good family, close. My sister moved out when she was a bit younger. We're all still talking now, so we must have been all right.
Yeah, you've just done something right, haven't you?
That's it.
So how was rugby brought to your attention and where was your first club, Keith?
You know what? I honestly don't know where rugby started. Being Welsh, we all watch rugby, don't we, Jareen?
Yeah.
I think we're born with a rugby ball in our hands. But um, the day I decided to play rugby, don't know why, couldn't tell you. But I know I started when I was probably, what would I have been? I was playing for Rumney. So I must have been about seven, something like that. I was young, really young. Um,
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I wasn't this lean machine you see now. I was I was a chubby little fat kid. So
Yeah.
straight in as I don't think I was reserve prop. I think I was like second reserve prop, something like that.
Right.
Um, and yeah, but stayed as prop then for quite a long time, playing for a club called Rumney, until I left the area. Yeah,
Right. And was it just purely rugby union, Keith?
yeah. Honestly, John,
Yeah.
before I moved up north, I hand on heart had never even heard of rugby league. Didn't even know it
Madness,
was a
that, yeah.
thing. It's mental. And you know what? I wish I'd known, because since I've come up here and played rugby league and watched it, obviously, it's a hell of a sport. And I think I probably, if I had a choice from a young age to learn as much as I know on Union, I probably would go rugby league, definitely.
Oh, would you?
Yeah. I really think.
Yeah.
I think I'm too old now to pick it all up, if I'm honest with you, and get, like, that fluid,
Yeah.
as if you know it inside out. I don't think I can get that. For instance, when I play now, or when I have played, just give me the ball and say run in a straight line, mate. Um,
Yeah.
Whereas Union, yeah, I can read the park. I think I'm all right. I know everything that's going on. So yeah, if league was bigger in Cardiff, yeah, I definitely would have played it. 100%. It's a shame.
Right. And yeah, it isn't. What's mad is as good as you are at rugby union, the rugby league would have only about that as well, mate.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. I might have learned to
And vice
catch.
versa. But like even going back from rugby league to rugby union, if you'd have kept doing that, like both
Hmm.
sports complement each other in certain areas, don't they?
Yeah, they do, definitely. Yeah.
Right. So what was club rugby like for you as a kid? So do you remember was it a full pitch? Was it 15 aside? Was it tackle?
Yeah. I remember it was definitely tackle. Um, I, Probably that first phase, that real young age, I can't remember that much. I'm sure. I know the kit was blue and
Yeah.
black, and that's probably about as far as I
Right.
can remember there. So if we jump a
Yeah.
little bit ahead to when I lived near a place in the valleys called Pontyclean. So Pontyclean RUFC was probably it was my main club growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
That's what I played for pretty much, well, until I joined the Navy. Um, and there, definitely tackling, definitely playing with the bigger, older boys. I know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember turning up to one club. I can't think of the name of it now. But anyway, one of the clubs, we were meant to be all like under 14s or something. There was a lad that stood there with a pram, a baby, died there. Luckily, been established for
Smoking.
4 years. Yeah, smoking with a pint. So, I don't think he's 14.
Unless they do things very different.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Just harder people there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my main club, I remember, to be honest with you, Pontyclun IUFC. And I think, I'm trying to think back now, because we played a couple of teams in England, and I'm sure as kids, you either did scrums or lineouts, and in Wales we did opposite. I can't remember which way it was. I think we did lineouts, but you weren't allowed to do them at that age. Yeah.
Oh, right, okay.
I think that's what it was, but we didn't do contested scrums. It was along those lines. So when we played an English team, it was a bit weird.
Yeah, I was going to say, because like, I'm only a bit younger than you, mate, but when we played at uni and up until 16, it was a lottery. You just throw it in, and the tallest lad would
there you go.
All the time.
So that is right then, yeah. So we used to lift before senior level.
Okay. Right, so any rep stuff during junior school, right? Was there any town team sort of set up around Key?
Yeah, so it was, how it used to be was, I'm not sure, I'm sure it's the same up here. What it used to be was you'd get invited, or your coaches or whatever would pick some people to go for an attempt at the district, I think it was called then. And you just go to a couple of trials and see how you get on. I remember doing one for, I think I went to the Cardiff one, but no chance there. And then when I moved to closer to the valleys, I did go for Rhondda Taff trials. I remember getting through somehow. Like I say, I was a chubby little kid. I wasn't very good at rugby. I remember getting through. And I remember my cat's just coming in crying, so if you hear it. Getting through somehow. And it was as if, for my dad, I'd just been picked for Wales or something. He was so like, oh my God, this is it. Gonna make it. And there's me thinking, behave yourself, father. Be lucky if I carry the water on.
As long as you get a stash, you're not bothered, right?
That's it. Well, yeah. As a kid, definitely, yeah. I remember getting a bag, shorts, whatever. I thought, my life has changed.
Right, yeah. What were they called, mate?
Rhondda Taff. Good luck spelling it. I'll give you 6 attempts. You won't get it.
So when you say you had the 2 trials, would it have been like half-an-hour games?
Yeah, it was that type of setup.
Tournament thing.
Yeah, it was one of those things. Just go in and just play in your position, try and stand out. Some people turn up with bleached blonde hair to really stand up. But yeah, like I say, it wasn't high level, but it was nice. I think got in, managed to do a couple of trips with them somewhere, went away a little bit. But yeah, I wasn't a main player, if I'm totally honest with you. I'm not really doing myself.
Nice experience, though.
Yeah, it was. And I think it's really important as kids to have a sport that you go for. Yeah. And I think rugby definitely, we all know, it's that social element, isn't it? Even if you're not the starting player, it's nice to be with a group of, 25 lads or so, and everything that comes with it, especially as a young lad. You still learn to drink, still learn to socialise, still learn how the world works, aren't you? So yeah, it was really good experience. Hard, as I remember being at times thinking, God, some of these boys are big and they can tackle, they're faster, this or that. Yeah. But well, there's only one way to get better, isn't there? Play the best.
Well, that's it, mate. Yeah, sink or swim sort of thing, isn't it? And
definitely
see where you go. So, obviously, knowing you, I know you're your personality, like welcome people in. You raise spirits. You're the heart and soul of like an attitude and a mood around a social area, in and out of the changing room. So, as a young lad, have you always had that, or is that something you've grown and matured with?
Again, no, I wasn't quite the person I am now, if I'm honest with you. So I had loads of mates in school and all the rest of it, of course. But I think in hindsight, I was probably in the wrong clique. I was in with like the chavs, the ones who were a bit meaner to the geeky people, that sort of thing. So I was with them, and probably it was just a cheeky little shit, really. And then I think, again, I'm sure we'll get into it, but joining the Navy, it changed me massively, 100%. I learned a lot about the world when I joined the Navy. So yeah, so I mean, even to a point when I was in school, I was with like all the smokers and all them lot. Nothing crazy, nothing too heavy, but managed to get myself into little bits of trouble, got suspended. And which one's the one you get suspended, isn't it? Got suspended in primary school.
So you were allowed back into school, mate,
Yeah. I remember my auntie had to come pick me up, and she wasn't best pleased. So I got suspended from primary school. The school I would have gone to was quite a rough one, secondary. But we moved the area, like I say, which was probably a blessing in disguise. So I went to actually quite a posh school in the end. And
Sure.
yeah, well, I don't know, I stood out like a sore thumb, I think. Yeah, and then going there, yeah, probably into the wrong crowd again with the smokers. I got myself in a little bit of trouble, nothing silly. Yeah, so not the best.
Right.
But in terms of rugby, though,
yeah,
even the group in school and the rugby club outside, they're my highlights. So if you would ask me to think about my childhood, they're the things I think about.
Straight to rugby.
Yeah, absolutely. And probably a lot of your guests you've had on here probably would be exactly the same, I'd imagine.
They are, mate, yeah. Well, you'd know because you've watched and listened to them all, wouldn't you?
But not all of them. Some people put me to sleep.
So it's funny you say that, mate, innit? Because mainly the most outwardly people, like I'd say you were out, but I won't clash it as in your face, but you're someone that we gravitate to. For you to be a little bit timid as a kid, that's how it tends to work, mate, isn't it? Once the maturity comes and the growth spurts come and like real life comes, that's when you sort of find yourself, don't you, mate?
Yeah.
So how was your transition into high school then, mate? Did rugby help with that?
It did, actually, thinking about it, because the lads I was with in primary school, they were all rugby boys, and they were all better than me at rugby, but still in there, like close group of mates. They're the ones I stayed with as I migrated into high school. Now, our high school was a bit weird, so we had just years 7 and 8 were like one part of the school, it's like one site. Then 9, 10, 11 was another site, and then sixth form was another site. So I remember getting to that high school first, and there's only 2 years in there, do you know what I mean? So, and you're one of the years, so you end up quite a big fish in a little pond, don't you? You get really comfortable.
Yeah, I can imagine, sure.
Like you say, so I had my good rugby mates, and they were better lads, to be fair. Then I had the chavier ones I hung around with as well. Yeah, you end up like quite, like I say, a big fish in a small pond. So I remember migrating into that first one real easy. But then I think when we enter the next step up, then that year 9 one, it's like starting all over again. Then there was year 11, which I think 16, isn't it? And then so you got a lot bigger boys then. They've all got girlfriends. They've all done this, that. They're smoking and drinking and partying. And it was that was a bigger shock, I think, going to that one. Really had to find your place within a bigger group then.
Right. That's mad. So you sort of had like a middle school, mate, didn't you? It's very
in essence.
That, isn't it? Yeah.
It's very Welsh, isn't it? Another country.
Well, they did stamp my passport when I last went.
That stamp said don't come back.
It did, funnily enough, I got it translated. So when you're the big fish in the little pond, sort of say, mate, are you starting to grow into rugby a little bit more? Because I think you downplayed yourself, like, not long ago, you're saying it was like second choice prop or it was this. When did your body start changing? Because you're far from a front rower now, aren't you?
No, honestly, even at that stage. So, I mean, it's not quite rugby, but give you an example. So I tried to do all the sports in school. I remember I think most of us did, didn't we? But I remember trying to do everything. So I was in the track and field, trying to do javelin, shot put, a lot. And I remember so we used to do like a ceremony, if you want to call that, at the end of every year, and you'd all get your certificates for participation, and they'd all clap and all that rubbish. And I remember the PE teacher stood there, and he was doing the cross country. Now, I'm not joking you, I was fat. I was crap at cross country, really crap at cross country. And he clapped everyone else got a thing. And then he come to me, and he said, and this last person, I wouldn't say you always come last. I think he comes second to last once. Keiron Arndell, in front of everyone, in front of the whole school, things not to do.
Did you know what? Imagine doing that now.
I know, yeah. I think they get in trouble, wouldn't they? But So I appreciate what you're saying, downplaying myself there, but no, I really was quite bit unfitter, not quite physical at that stage. It's only when I joined the Navy and really got into fitness that my body changed, I'd say. But before that, chubby little kid.
So what was the standard of rugby like at school, mate, compared to your club rugby?
I remember him not being the best. I really don't think it was
No.
that high level. No, we had a couple of lads who played for. Well, did he play for us? No, he played against us. Do you know Lloyd Williams? Plays for Wales now. Or he has played for Wales. Played for the Blues.
Oh, yeah.
Well, anyway, he was my neighbour, and he played in other teams or schools against us as well. And he stood out like he was the best thing ever, because I don't think the quality was that particularly well in the school rugby. Our club rugby, Pontyclean, I couldn't tell you what actual level they were, but I remember really physical league, really, if you can imagine a bunch of valley lads, really physical, good hard rugby. I remember stepping in. I remember being young and going for the open age part. Now, I don't know if I'd joined the Navy yet. Well, no, I couldn't have. So I must have been around 16, 17 max. I was still I was knocking on the door then to get in with them. I remember like being in training. We used to do full contact in training. I mean, I don't even think we do that now, do we? But then full contact against 30-year-olds on a boggy, muddy pitch.
Seasoned, aren't they?
Yeah. So I don't know the actual level, but it was a good enough standard, and like I say, really physical.
So as much as you keep saying you were on the outer in the clubs you've played for growing up, do you think bits of that you were taking in what rugby really was? So you might have seen some, without knowing it, maybe, Key. So you might have learned a little bit of like probably weren't called a jackal when we were growing up, but a little bit of a jackal from him, one way of carrying from this guy, a line out technique from the man next to you.
Yeah.
And you're growing your game without knowing it.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, even subconsciously, but I remember consciously watching the lads who were good. I think that's what we want to be. That's what I got to do. That's what I need to do. That's what I need to jump. That's what I need to run. That's what I need to this, that. But yeah, definitely subconsciously as well. That'll be there. I mean, you sat on the sideline. It's strange, isn't it? You give away every weekend, knowing sometimes you're not even starting. And why would you do that? Well, you're there to watch, learn, and improve, aren't you? So that the hopes one day is your name is the starting one on that little leaflet on a Saturday.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was definitely doing all that and learning, 100%.
And did you feel overwhelmed at that age trying to step up to that, like senior rugby, basically boys to men, mate?
I think I was. I think it was more the physicality, because I remember being younger, and you're going to laugh at this, very good handling skills in terms of could catch, could pass quite well.
Yeah.
But tackling, I remember being quite scared. So I was probably,
me.
I know, yeah, quite opposite, isn't it, really? And that would have been because I was a lot younger, not as fit as the other lads, and like I say, they were a lot older, bigger boys, seasoned. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, that's it, really. Yeah.
So when you're at the back end of school, mate, what were your fondest memories from playing rugby? Because it's all well and good making like the rep side you made. I don't want to embarrass myself and try and pronounce it, mate.
Give it a go, mate.
It's all well so it's all well and good making that rep team and making which is more important, is making good friends, and usually friends for life, Key, aren't they? But when did you start believing in yourself and like imposing yourself in games? And was you touched on it before, but was rugby really something you look back on and think, I did enjoy it at the time as well? Or is it just something like we're joking about it now because you've used it as a bit of a life lesson, haven't you, really? So far, like the rugby's introduced you to certain aspects of the real world where school was a bit like you said it yourself, big fish, little pond like scenario for you, wasn't
it? So I 100% have always enjoyed rugby. You know, I've been playing off and on since I was 7 or so. So I've always enjoyed it. But I think that the point to your question is, when did it change? When did I believe in myself? I'm going to have to jump quite far ahead, really, and say it was when I was in the Navy. I'd probably been in the Navy for a couple of years, and that's when I
quite later on.
Yeah, I was good at rugby in the Navy. Yeah, so that's where it changed for me, really.
Right. How did you deal with the pressures of the back end of school? So your exams, your revisions, the fact that life is going to change whether you like it or not. Everyone tells you enjoy school, don't they? Because you blink and life passes you by, which we'll touch on, where you've got your own family and that now, mate, and you've had some big occasions, big injuries and gaps and stuff. So when that time business end of school come, how did you cope with that?
I don't know if you'll be shocked or surprised or what, I'm not really sure. However, I found learning the easiest thing on the planet. And I really mean that. I didn't have to try whatsoever. And this is why my teachers hated me, because I could happily sit there within 5 minutes, finish all the work, and then just literally tick about the rest of the time. To a point, one teacher, if I got time, I've got time for a little quick story, and one of my English teacher, I turned up for lesson one day and she'd had enough of me basically just smashing out all the work, getting good marks and just not trying, but then distracting everyone else. Turned up for lesson, she went, Keiron, and I think her name was Miss Lovejoy. She said, you're not sat in here today. What do you mean? She went, you're sat in here, and she put me in a book cupboard. I was like, what do you mean I'm sat in a book cupboard? You can't put me in a book cupboard. She went, I can. And all I had in there was a chair, a cupboard with all the books. I think it was like Mice and Men or something. Gave me my copy. She said, aim for today is to get from page 20 up to page 80 or something. Making notes, thinking of the exam ahead. That's what you got to do. I was like, you're joking me? She's like, I'm certainly not. And closed the door. And then so I sat there for that hour or so of the lesson, did all my work, sat there, and then come out. And she went, how was that for you? Like, horrendous, I've got to be honest. I've been locked in a room. And she said, well, the class performed a lot better without you. So you've got a choice to either continue as the way you are, you'll be in that cupboard, or start concentrating, not distracting everyone, because everyone else had a much better time without you. So anyway, the point is, I found learning easy.
After that come Harry Potter.
And then I got my ticket to Hogwarts. I found it easy. I remember I rode my moped to pick up my exam results down. Basically, there was a walkway within the school that went through like the rugby pitches and all that stuff to like where you could collect your results in some area, kind of where it was. I drove my moped through there, all the way through. And the teachers already look at some people's results, don't they? So they already know who's done well or whatever. So I got mine, opened them on the spot, and it was 4 Bs, 5 As, and 4 A stars, something like that. Or 3 A stars, I think that works out. Looked at it, and I was like, nice. And they said, what are you going to do? You coming to sixth form or college? I went, no, I'm not continuing with any form of education whatsoever. I hate it. And then the headmaster come over and he went, if I catch you riding that moped through here on school property grounds again, I'll have you. I was like, you won't, because I'm not continuing with education, don't worry about that. And then off I went on my moped into the sunset. So
I just got like a little like pigeon, grease at the end. Put you on your scooter.
My fingers up. So I don't remember. It's strange. I don't remember having a plan to join the military. I really don't remember having a plan. So God knows how I joined. But I just knew I just didn't want, although I found it easy, I did not want to continue with education. I just didn't think it's not for everyone. And I just didn't like the route of sixth form or college and uni and with a degree, what you do with a degree. I remember my only stress at the time, the only thing, rather than what marks will I get or what will I do, was more what job do I want to do for the rest of my life. That was a really bit, I was thinking, I'm 16, even I think 14, 15, you pick your subjects, don't you? So I remember sitting there thinking, what on earth do I want to be? I haven't got a clue. I liked history, I like sports, but I mean, I'm not going to be a professional athlete. I'm probably not. Exactly. I'm not going to go digging bones either. So,
well, no comment.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, I forgot about you. I forgot you were here. It's a perfectly valid career choice.
Do you think you just weren't challenged enough, mate?
But yeah,
I mean, it's not a cater for everyone, but for you to feel that strongly about it, and listeners, if you found it easy, you found it easy, which you clearly did, but that was down to them as well to like mentally stimulate and challenge you, wasn't it?
I mean, if I had a magic wand I could change the world, I think the thing is reading a book and writing some comments about it or writing your own references or whatever, it's some people can do it, some can't. But I really don't think that should be a test of your intelligence or what you should do in life. I think it's a bit unfair for me. I think there's a lot better, smarter ways to dictate where you need to end up and develop you, isn't there? Hey, we're getting into fixing the world now, aren't we?
No, it is. Some people can do it theory-wise some people just do as key, aren't they?
Definitely.
So just rewinding a little bit, because the Navy is a massive part of your life, isn't it? And it's something I want to really delve into with you. But was rugby clicky key? Was rugby a really, really big thing at school? And did all the towns and the villages come out and watch the local team like you think they did?
Yeah. It was a big. I think thinking more about Pontyclean, that team. There was a big turnout. Parents were there. Parents would fight. It was a big thing, and it's not something I see as much these days. We've got to be honest. I mean, Wids has all right turnouts, doesn't it? To be fair, but I mean, I used to go to teams like tiny little towns and villages that would have their own stands and be full. It'd be a big affair to come and go and play some of these teams. So it was a big thing, and I remember the social side as well was massive. I mean, maybe I got lucky and it was the areas I was in. I don't know, but it seemed to me that everywhere we went, it was a big thing, and you'd be at the bar even as a kid with a pint of Bow and Black for £1, you know what I mean? And everyone was drinking, having a good time, but you just couldn't do it in the function room because the serious adults were there.
Right. No, because it's like like the stuff BBC Wales do before Wales internationals. They go to like these village games and that, don't they? Like they did with like Nigel Owens when he grew up. With his documentary, he went to it, and it's just literally Saturdays are purely
Rugby
everyone rocking up to watch the rugby, aren't they? Doesn't
Yeah.
matter who's playing, what the level is, the age group, they're all there.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to think, not to say places are run down, certainly not the case, but when there isn't a lot in an area, what's the big thing that happens every week without fail? Rugby, and then the social element afterwards. So it is a big thing, isn't it? It's an important thing as well for a lot of people.
And did you find it clicky? Sorry, mate.
When you say clicky, as in
was it? No, so not only on the social side. So when you're rocking up to these trials and stuff, was there very much people in last year's gear there?
Yeah.
And they knew the first names and stuff.
Yeah. There was the favourite boys everyone knew, and coaches loved them. They come in the coach's car, come in the kit ready. Do you know what I mean? They were the ones stood in the middle.
Off though, mate.
There was a couple of lads I remember being a bit like, what a knob, and I didn't like elements of it, but like I said, I'm definitely not an introvert. I was never an introvert, but I wasn't as extrovert as I am now, I'd say. So I do remember being a bit put off by it, a bit like, oof, don't like that. Those lads are the cream of the crop over there. They're the cool ones. I better stand over in this corner. I do remember about that, yeah.
Because the one thing I've always like is just how relaxed you tend to be before a game. You purely see it as fun. Don't get me wrong, when you're playing, you're serious. But up until probably even the balls kit, or you've even might have had a touch or a tackle, you're very much jovial and you're relaxed and you're happy, aren't you? You don't take it too serious, which looking back, even I said on my episode, I'd be a bit more like that. So was you always like that?
So I don't mean to delay. So it's a tough one what you said there, because I might come across dead relaxed, but in my head I've got a million things going on in my head. If you come and stick your finger on my throat and feel my heart, it's normally racing.
No, I don't doubt that, mate. It's just how you transpire onto other people.
Right, I get you.
It must help them. So I know I've looked round, and you'll know yourself. You've got someone virtually punching themselves, or people of the 1, 2, 3, 4. Never done it for me, to be honest with you.
We're all different.
Running fast on a spot and that, it didn't really tip my back. I'd rather be with the animals, you know what I mean? But I just needed a little bit of a bit of me.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Where you can neutralise that attitude.
Yeah, I think
you've probably not realised it, have you?
No, and that's it. Yeah, it's hard to know what you're doing all the time, isn't it? And what you bring to others is very difficult. It's like that question, why would you be good at this job? It's hard to explain. I mean, no one's to pick themselves up, do they? But I mean, pre-game, I'm trying to focus on what I need to do. I'm thinking about my old mistakes, what I need to improve on, what am I going to do this time? I can never remember the teams. I haven't got a clue half the teams we've ever played. So there's no point in me thinking, they've got a good 8, so I need to just, because I don't remember anyone. That doesn't bother me. So in my head, I'm just thinking what I need to do. Just a little bit of focus, quiet time, and that's sufficient for me. And I can still have a talk and a laugh But I tend to feel the moment, when you're walking towards the pitch, that's that bit coming out the changing rooms. I like to give everyone a big high five, pat on the back, and that's my time to start thinking. Then, right, this is it now. Let's do my business, do what I got to do.
Right. So, mate, that time's come. You've smashed your results. You've stuck the fingers up to the headmaster, mate. What's next for Mr. Arndell in life?
So I went. My dad was by trade. He was a pipe fitter, and a plumber. So he did plumbing, gas, and heating at home. Then he worked on ships as a probably say supervisor or manager for pipe fitters. He went out, scope jobs, and then make sure they all got on time. But he's very clever technically, my old man. I'll give him credit where it's due. Hope he never listens to this. But so he was what I went to basically. So I said, I'm not going to school, not going to college. I'm done with all that. So I started, if you will, an informal apprenticeship, I suppose is the only way I could word it. So I wasn't doing any education or apprenticeship per se. I just worked with him on the tools. So I went house to house doing plumbing. I learned a lot. Funny enough, it was good to work with my dad. We had loads of arguments all the time. It was really good to work with him though. I remember having good times doing it. He'll still tell you now. Used to be so angry that it'd be like 11 o'clock. We'd be like, what time are we at? What time we stop for lunch? I'm starving. He'd always stop in a burger van and get something for me. So I probably lost a lot of business or a lot of working time for him at least. But so I remember doing that, really enjoyed it. And then he managed, I don't know how he done it, he must have wangled it somehow. He managed to get me onto 2 jobs working on ships. So he was the manager, like I say, doing pipe fitting, and he got me in there. And now you got to set the scene here. 16-year-old lad on a ship, whole new world again. Your world just keeps getting bigger and bigger and faster, doesn't it? I remember being there. I don't think I'd ever even used a grinder. I'm pretty confident I'd never used one. He paired me up with some lads, and they were working in like a void space above the bulkhead, so like the roof. Apologies, they were working in there. So I was obviously young lad, perfect to fit inside there. So he threw me up there, gave me a grinder, so I cut that pipe. So I was working from about, I don't know, a couple of inches from my face with this grinder, cutting this pipe. Never even used one before. And it was all sparking in my face. Oh, I don't like this. It's sparking like you are. And he gave me some glasses. Said, crack on. I remember that. And I remember doing that. And again, I really enjoyed myself on the ships. Come home. I don't even know how this works to this day. I'd have to ask my old man. Basically, I had a slip of paper, take it to a bank, go to the bank. And I'd done 1 week away on one of the ships. They gave me £1,017 or something. I remember being
17.
£1,017 straight in cash from the bank. I remember being 16, maybe going on 17, around that age. I think, bloody hell, we could do this.
I am a king.
yeah. I'm the richest man alive. Didn't last long, obviously.
The little hole in the pocket where it burned.
Oh yeah, burning, definitely, yeah.
So again, without realising, that's obviously triggered something, mate, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was good. Fond memories, actually. I did enjoy it. And there was a nice group of lads, for a group of like 30, 40, maybe 50-year-old men, really welcoming. Maybe my dad had a word on, I couldn't tell you, but they were just really nice to me, happy to show me around and show me the ropes. So I did enjoy it. It was good. And then from there, so that was about 7 months-ish, maybe I did all of that around that time. And I mean, if you're happy to jump on, I'll get into the big Navy there. Where that come from?
Well, it is, mate.
Yeah.
The only thing is it when you've rocked up to these fellas, is there a similar feeling to a first day at school, or are you just ready for the adult world now?
No, I'm still a kid at this point, so yeah, dead nervous. Yeah, I still get nervous now meeting new people and things. I'm a bit, to be honest, with the COVID thing, it made me a bit worse. Whereas before I knew, turn up, hi mate, you okay? Shake hands. Now in my head, I'm thinking, well, do I shake their hand? Do I not? Am I okay to speak to them? Do you know what I mean? I'm a bit of an overthinker, so it's made me quite weird in that sense. Now I meet people, I'm very standoffish now. It's probably took Meg 7 years to get me into hugging people and all the rest of it. I'm like that, standing well back.
Straight back to the beginning.
Yeah.
So talk us through, how did you get yourself ready for the Navy, if you did at all, and how does it come about, mate?
So like I say, I generally don't know where the idea come from. I don't. When I asked my dad, and he said, I just come home one day and said, I've been in a career office. I'm going to join up. So that must have been how it went. But God knows how that happened. So I honestly couldn't tell you. But the point is, anyway, I went to the career office. I remember going a couple of times, sort my paperwork out, doing little bits you've got to do, interviews, mechanical tests, and that type of stuff to decide what area you're going to join. And I do remember that I didn't actually want to join the Navy. I wanted to join the Marines, but because I was under 18, I needed my parents' signature, and that just wasn't happening. There was no signature coming from them for that. Yeah. So, and I mean, at the time, I remember being like, "This is unfair. This is unjust. How dare they dictate my future? What do they know? They're going off stereotypes, that type of stuff." Yeah. But I always remember my dad saying, if you join in one of those areas, so infantryman, likeliness is that's what you'll have to do for the rest of your life, because there's not many people needed in the civilian world who can shoot people. Whereas if you join and get a trade, that's something you can leave with. If you don't like it, you can leave after 4 years or so. You've got something to fall back on. And I absolutely remember being, people listen to this and take it how they want, but I remember thinking, what a bastard. I really do. I remember thinking that. Yeah. What does he know? How dare he? He's only 40. What does he know? But yeah, now in hindsight, now I'm grown up. It's done a world of favors for me. I mean, I left after 8 years or so, and it sorted me out. Simple as that. I ended up with a good career and everything. So yeah, I went in. Ended up, the bargain was made with my dad that I'll join the Navy, get a trade, rather than the Marines. And obviously the option was always there. When I turned 18, I could always transfer across anyway. It was up to me. So I went in. I think I started losing some weight by this point. However, they give you a fitness test, fitness training regime, I should say, to join. I remember you've got to do a mile and a half in, I don't know, under 9 minutes 30 or something. I don't know. It's like staggered for ages. So if you're under 25, it'll be X, and if you're under 35, it'll be whatever. I remember I did it in a leisure centre. Bit of a confession coming here, actually. I don't know how many people know this. So I did my mile and a half on a running machine, and you had to do, I think mile and a half was 2.4 kilometers. I'm pretty sure it is. And when I was running, I was about, I don't know, 7 minutes 58, something like that, just maybe 8 minutes. And the guy stopped my running machine because it was at 2.04 kilometers. And he wrote it on the form, official form, that I'd absolutely smashed this test at, like, I'm pretty sure it was 7 minutes of 8. Took that to the career office, and they were like, "Wow, bloody hell, you're fast!" And then obviously one of the sergeants seen it from the Marines. Was like, "You sure you want to join them, mate? Got a much better option for you here." I was like, "Well, actually, yes." Funny you say that, but I would have passed anyway. Do you mean? But the point is, he made me look like Superman on that form.
The big fish in the little pond.
Yeah, he cut it 0.36 soon. So yeah, I did my fitness test, and the other thing I had to do, and Meg loves this story, so I've yet to find anyone who's had to do it. Yeah, you have to do. Well, no, you don't have to do it at all. The only thing you have to do is see a doctor. So I turned up on the bus with my form, seen a doctor, and he's like, going through the form. Have you got asthma? Have you got this? Have you ever had this? And he said, "Okay, do you want to take your clothes off down to your pants?" Like, yeah. So I'm 16 now. At this point, I'm 16 and a half, maybe going on to 17. I'm around that age. I signed up before I was 17. I know that.
Just say back.
I know exactly. So I'm in my pants, and he said, "Okay, do you want to start doing some press ups?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I banged up 10 press ups or whatever. In my head, I'm thinking it's because I don't need to make sure my form is good, to make sure I can do a press up. I don't really know what I'm thinking, if I'm honest with you. However, did it, no problems. And when you eventually join, you end up in a big room with all like 30, 40 lads, and you're all saying, "Oh, do you remember the coffin drop test? Do you remember this?" And I said my story, and everyone went, "Never did that, mate." I'm like, shut up. I'm like, no, never done that. And I've never met anyone yet who've said they've done that test. So Meg thinks that doctor was a bit bit odd. There we go.
That's brilliant.
Stone you off now, isn't it? You have to think of more questions.
Yeah.
No, were we talking about rugby? I can't remember anymore.
It's 10K. So when you're doing the the stuff that you'd have to tick boxes for, basically, mate, isn't it? And without the press ups and that, joking aside, is there ever any doubt, or is it a fact you're going to see this through?
Oh yeah, I was definitely doing it. Yeah,
Yeah,
to be honest, because I made that conscious decision, I wasn't going to school. I'm quite pig-headed at times. I'm like, well, I'm not going to uni. I'm not going to school. I've decided. So this was probably my only option, really, in that sense. But I remember being really excited for it. Really excited for it. There's times I was absolutely nervous, but absolutely excited to do it and do the business and get in and make everyone proud. Sounds cheesy, I know, but I wasn't doing it for everyone else. But that is like a cherry on top, if so well.
of course it is, mate. Yeah. So was there ever a moment early doors you thought I've made a wrong decision here, or
the only time,
because you're not someone that would do something out of spite. I don't think, mate.
No. So the only time I remember thinking, I don't know if I like this, have I made the right thing, was when I got onto ship. So you got to imagine I'm jumping ahead a bit. I finished all my basic training, finished my specialist training, and I'm on my first unit, seagoing unit, and I was 17 and a half. I still wasn't even 18 yet, because I had to get permission to join the vessel under the captain. And you walk in a room, and there's a range of lads from 18 up to 35, 40 in one room. 33 people 32 including yourself, people in a room. They're all like seasoned drinkers. They've all got all their own life stories. Some of them might have come from troubled backgrounds, all sorts. And I couldn't comment now, but at the time, there's absolutely hierarchical system there. So it was, I've been in 1 month, well, I've been in 2, so I tell you what to do. Do you know what I mean? I've been in 3 years. I rarely get to tell you all what to do. I've been in 6 years. You all sit on the floor and listen to me. It's really like that, or it was at least. And I remember being this young lad and not going into all the ins and out of it. Real long day. So when you're under training, when you join the ship, your day is packed non-stop all day. Doesn't stop. Then you get to clean. Then you got to do this and that. And when the lads would drink, I wasn't allowed to sit on the sofa. So I had to sit on the floor and pass the senior lads their alcohol. So they'd say, Taff, give me 2 beers. And you'd have to sit there, get them 2 beers, Mark, 2 beers. And they might even say, you can pay for these. You'd have to put it on your tally. And that's what it was like. I remember at one point just thinking, I definitely didn't break down, I think, but I remember being like, this is a joke. What is this? I mean, half these lads I could beat up if I wanted to, but you obviously can't. And I remember hating that. I remember thinking, but what it made me do, rather than just moan and cry about it, it just made me want to be senior. So I smashed out on my training. I smashed out on my additional qualifications I had to do. So you keep going up in ranks fast. And yeah, I flew through the ranks when I was in. And it was absolutely because of that. I didn't want to be sat on the floor passing people beers. I wanted to be the one sat in the chair, at least.
But there would have been plenty of people that had just been sat on the floor for a long time, wouldn't they? And they were more than happy. And fair play, but they're more than happy to be one of them people, aren't they? So, do you know when you open the door, mate, do you literally attitude changes as you step through that gap?
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah. I remember basic training still being like young and cheeky and whatever, because in basic training, there's a real strict element to it. For instance, like your bed's got to be perfectly ironed and a crease down the center of your bed, and that's got to line up with your pillowcase. You've got all that bits there. So that's a discipline, but you're still normally with a group of younger lads and you're still yourself and messing around, you know what I mean? But yeah, when you get onto a ship, it's a whole new realm then. I remember you walk through your little cabin door, and it was, I think they'd just come back from a deployment. I think they'd just come back from Norway or somewhere. Half were on the floor pissed because you could drink at sea. So half were pissed on the floor. The other half were packing up their bags to go home. So you didn't want to say hello. So, I mean, they were just like, out the way, mate.
Ready.
Yeah, no time to meet you. And that was a shock. But again, it's one of the things you just learn and get on with it. And you like anything, is that you've got to find your place. I find best to go in a little bit quieter, learn the characters, who's the loud ones, who's the quiet ones, who's the ones you want to speak to. Read the room a little bit, then start to migrate in towards the ones you think you best get on with.
So I like that read the room phrase, mate. So when did you begin to personally read a room without getting a hint out? Did it not take long?
No, like I say, it's a strange one, isn't it? 'Cause a lot of people do the usual school, college, uni, and you're just with people your own age, people similar interests, you're doing people on the same subject. Just quite, you turn up and you're all pretty much the same person, aren't you?
Generic.
Yeah, you are, aren't you? In the nicest possible way.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, I'm turning up in this story, I'm turning up to a room with, like I say, a lot older lads, 40-year-olds who've been in the Navy for about 20 years, and they've decided they only want to be a naval rate, so like the bottom level, their whole career. So turning up to see someone like that and they're just dead set in their ways, you've got to learn very fast where you fit into the big picture and how to speak to people and how not to do things and fit in around others to make it work for you.
Yeah, but also knowing the time's right to stand up for yourself and
and it's tough, isn't it? It's a real balancing act, and I don't think I actively think about it. I think it's just something that comes natural to each of us, isn't it? Maybe some a little bit more natural.
Some a bit quicker, some a bit longer, mate.
Yeah.
So if we go back to, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, just agree with you. Really, it is important to know when enough's enough and to stand up for yourself a little bit, because you don't want to be the pushover, do you? Because that's just as dangerous as just doing what you're told. There's quite a difference, isn't it?
It's just having the nerve to do it as well. One thing seeing it and feeling it, it's another thing acting upon it, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So going back a little bit, you're on about the crease in your bed and everything folded or hung right in the right order. Is that something? I'm on about the crease in your bed, but is that something you were brought up to be like anyway?
No.
So everything was literally like a clean slate for you, mate?
Yeah, I'd never seen an iron, mate. I don't know. I put my clothes in the wash basket. I could tell. No amount of. Sorry, what was I saying? I used to put my clothes in the clothes basket and they come out clean and ironed. I mean, the only thing my mother absolutely refused to do growing up was wash my rugby kit. She would not put my rugby kit in that washing machine. So I had to hand wash. I'd come in from training and hand wash all my rugby kit in the bath, and then it could go in the washing machine because she wouldn't let anyone go in there. That's why. Yeah, that's why I was scared of tackling because I knew what I'd have to do afterwards.
Makes sense.
I really wasn't domesticated that way at all, but you have to do it. So I mean, it sounds daft. So I'll give you a real good example. You get 3 warnings in basic training and you're gone. That's how it works. So I actually had.
You mean?
Yeah. You're discharged, no longer required or something like that. So I actually used all my 3 up, if I'm totally honest, but I got lucky. So my third, just to show you how petty it was, my third warning was as we were marching. You can imagine a march, you swing your arm up, don't you? So you're marching in a squad. Swung my arm up and I pulled the lad in front of me's bag strap down. So as I marched up, I grabbed his bag strap and pulled it, and it just made him dip his shoulder. That's all that happened. Senior officer seen that from his window, because there's plenty of people with no jobs just sat staring out of windows. Reported it to the divisional officer, and obviously come back. We all had to stand there. Who done it? At the time, I was on 2 warnings already, and that was my 3rd warning. So really, he gave me the warning. He said, "You're gone. You're kicked out. Simple as that. But you're on week 7 out of 8. Really like you. You're gonna do really well. You just gotta shut up for a week. Just get through this week. Not do anything. You'll be fine when you get on a ship. But at the moment in time, just do not make a peep. Keep your head down. Yeah. Just be wise." So that, I mean, that shows how petty it is.
Did you put pressure on you, Jordan, that last week then? Or?
No, they were sound with me. You know, he's a nice guy.
Right.
Scott something his name was. But I mean, just back onto the standards. There's a lad. Again, we're still learning things at this time. So all your locker had to be set a certain way, and everything had to be exactly the same, and we all had to be the same. And you get inspected quite regularly. And a lad put a penny in someone's cup. That was a joke. He failed the inspection because he had a penny in his cup. And he was like, "Oh, I didn't put a penny in my cup, obviously, did I?" And he got absolutely hammered for that. I think he got a warning, and it was like, but it was really serious because it was taken as if he'd done it to take a piss. You know, when you're thinking, "God, poor lad." Someone just put a penny in his cup.
Just something as trivial as that.
And he could have lost his whole career because of it.
And did you see much of people just jacking, Key? Not even being told to go, just jacking.
Yeah, loads of people. It's quite a high. It sounds daft, doesn't it? Because everyone thinks of the army and Marines. Everyone thinks, "Oh, they're top," and then the Navy's dead soft, and everyone says whatever they say about it, and the RAF. But it's not for everyone, and loads of people quit, and they can't handle it. And some people, I knew a lad who once you finish your training, you've got to do a return of service then. So you've passed all your training, then you've got to do minimum of 3.5 years, I think it is, before you can leave. And he wasn't doing it. He was like, I'm going, I'm not having it. Like, no, you're not. You signed the contract, you're staying. So he dropped. I mean, it won't make a lot of sense to you, but if you can imagine a big steel plate on the doors for the hatches where you go like down levels and ships, he just lifted it up and dropped it on his hand. He smashed his hand up. And then they said, well, you can't get rid of me now.
Discharge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was like. It's mad now.
It's heavy, that though, isn't it?
It was. It broke his hand, mate.
Part of the fun, yeah. No, it is. It's like, it's a bit extreme.
It is.
But I suppose if you felt there was no other way out,
yeah,
you don't want to be carrying someone like that key, do you?
No, I mean,
morale down and stuff. And
I'd be amazed if it's still like that, to be honest. Things change all the time. It changed a lot when I was in there. So I'd be amazed if it's like that. But yeah, at the time, yeah, it was. Yeah. Mad.
Right. And what trade did you decide to go with, mate? What was the options?
It was called a marine engineer, was what I joined as. In short, you fix everything on the ship by the weapon system. So you do the engines, the sewage, the fresh water, hydraulics, pneumatics, everything you think of, bar weapons, like I say. And it was good. So it made me a jack of all trade, I'd say. Some of the stuff we did was very questionable because there was a lot of keep the ship going. Do you see what I mean? You wouldn't do it. Yeah. I mean, civvy side, you wouldn't do it because you could just shut down the plant and save whatever job done, isn't it? Was stuck at sea, you're not getting any spare parts, you're just sat floating around. You just got to get things going, haven't you? So yeah, so marine engineer, and enjoyed it actually. It's good.
And how long did it take before, because you touched on before, you kept climbing the ladder, mate, so to say, how long did it take for your first promotion, and was that a real big deal for you?
So the first one is it's called, I can't remember what you call it now. I can't think what you bloody call it. But anyway, so you can imagine your bottom level, able rate, marine engineer. Oh, that was it, marine engineer 1, marine engineer 2, ME2, ME1. So you start as the bottom one. I think it took me a year to get up to the next level, which was still the same rank, but it's like split within the rank, if that makes sense. So it only took me a year to finish what's called as your task box. You have a load of tasks you've got to do. I don't know, start an engine, change a camshaft, whatever. It might be loads of things you've got to do, and you sign them all off. Or if you can't do them because there's no opportunity, you prove you know what you're doing. So you'd have to bring up all the standards and show whatever. Do some formal exams, and interviews. Pass that. So I did that, and then I'm pretty confident that I was on my 2 3/4 years, around that 3 years, maybe at a push. I was selected for promotion, like official promotion then, which is the next rank up. And then I did a year's course there, come back on ship, the same ship as well, so I knew everything on the ship was dead easy. And then you do again, loads of little levels within that, smash all them dead fast. And I think again, within 2 years, I was eligible for promotion to the next rank, which was petty officer. But by this point, I decided I want to leave. So I was just messing around really. I was fully qualified, so no one could tell me to do anything. I just literally had to go to work each day and bide out you give a 1 year's notice before you leave. So I had to sit and wait that time out, basically.
Right. But before the first one, on about the 3-year mark, there was no thoughts of leaving at all then, mate?
No, really.
Because you mentioned that 3.5 year window, didn't you, where you can then start applying for leave and stuff?
Yeah, no, I was perfectly happy, enjoying the job. I mean, my very first trip was around UK, so it was Scotland or something. Maybe we went Norway, I can't think. But my second trip was out to the Far East. So it was Thailand, Singapore, Kota Kinabalu. I don't know. Every en route from I think we must have gone through the Suez across there, so through Africa and that. So probably stopped at Egypt, Europe. I mean, at my first trip, that was really, I think it was about 6-7 months there. You can imagine a young lad getting paid. You can imagine again, I don't own anything. I had a mobile phone and that was it, but you couldn't use it because you're away and there was no signal on the ship. So it was probably the richest I've ever been in my life. So loads of money coming in, going all these places. You maybe do a week at sea and get somewhere for 3-4 days, like Thailand for 4 days, put some holidays in. Just gone Thailand for free. I mean, your smile knows about Thailand. We won't talk about that now, eh?
So you'd get a bit of downtime. How
Yeah, of
many
course you
stops
would.
would you reckon you'd have done, mate? So at
Um,
each of them places, you'd have got 3 or 4 days.
yeah, I think the
Yeah,
smallest you get is like 2 days, but yeah, some of the bigger ones. Like, I mean, you gotta imagine the people making these routes are human as well, so they want to have a good bit of
see the
downtime and
world,
enjoy.
don't you?
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
there for business, so you might have to do um, demonstrate some weapon systems or do an exercise with another country, something like that. But yeah, you'd be given a good enough amount of time to at least a couple of days minimum anyway to go do
with that
something.
bit of downtime. Yeah.
Which normally, to be
And
honest, result in just going out on the piss.
yeah, well,
Meg
why
gets so
not?
wound up that I can't remember half the place I've been. She's like, "You've been all over the world. You don't even know where." I was like, "No, 'cause I was pissed the whole time."
The Bing Tang was good there.
yeah, but the Oranja boom in India was wonderful.
So does rugby coincide with any of this time spent, mate?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so at this point, I was actually good at rugby. Don't know what happened. I just got good. So how it worked. I was playing for the Navy under 23s at the age of 18. I think is when I got selected for them. So they send the signal out to the ship. So literally imagine like a fax signal, a fax machine. Sends it to the captain. They say, "We want Keiron Arndell to play for us on this date. Can you fly him off the ship?" Then it goes to your boss, and they decide the amount of work on, how does that leave the team looking? Is the ship vulnerable then with a lack of a person?
So they can say no, Keiron, yeah.
They can say no. So there was times they've said no for me, and there's times they said yes. It just depends what was going on, where we were. But it sounds like proper, I don't know, like Superman-ish, or like during James Bond, just get flown off to go play rugby and come back.
If you don't know, though, you don't know, do you? I wouldn't have a clue, mate.
Yeah. So that's the point, really, then, with rugby. So I was playing for the ship side. That you have a personal trainer on the ship, and he was like, "Keiron Arndell, get him off the ship, go play rugby somewhere." So yeah, then you go again, same as anything, you go to a trial, do the trial, and yes, selected for the team. And that was me then in the Navy squad. Not that it was the under 23 squad, so it was the one under senior level. Off I went.
So again, you probably won't remember, but when did you notice a change in your body, in your ability, in your little tiny wins in a game? When did they start going in your favour?
In terms of body, it was just as soon as I started joining the forces and getting fit, it just looked completely different. I was lean, but then I started putting on like muscle size as well. I was training every day. I loved it. I had mates in the gym there. So we had a gym on the ship, so it was something we said, I would call the gym at 4. Do you know what I mean? So we were training loads. So I definitely know that's when my body changed. Strange or no, because obviously you're stuck away. You're not playing much rugby. Thailand aren't famed for their rugby teams, are they? So there's certain countries you'd go where you'd have a match and others you wouldn't. So you'd get a match when you can, or we might just do a inter-ship match. We might play like the chefs versus the engineers, say, for instance. I got to be honest, without sounding too bad about it, it was easy to stand out there. So I don't really know what happened, but I just changed and become good at rugby. It's like I just knew what I was doing. Maybe at that 3,000 hour mark where you just learn the game and you know exactly what you're doing. Maybe, I don't know. But I could jackal, I could run, I could pass, I could tackle, I could do everything.
Changed.
Well, that's another great point, actually. Yeah, I moved from prop to back row. I think I went second row first, and then they quickly put me to back row. And yeah, I think I was it just become really comfortable for me, that position. Loved it.
7, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All inside.
Yeah, much prefer it, yeah. And then so it was easy to stand out because you had just whoever was on the ship. So if you can imagine 300 people on a ship, they're not all going to be good at rugby, are they? Then went to trials, and I think I stood out enough there to be selected. I think I don't know exactly when, but yeah, it just all changed, and it's like the sport clicked, and it all worked out for me.
Any rugby league on the ship, or?
Do you know what? This is the first. Yes, this is the first time I had a chance for rugby league. There was it was probably a couple of years later. Sorry, when I went on my second promotion course, the personal trainer, a guy called Danny Johnson, he was from up north somewhere, and he was a league player. And he was the personal trainer on the base I was on. And he said, "Have a go at league, mate. You're really good at union. Let's get you on the park." So I don't know what it is. He said, "Ah, be all right, you'll work it out." I think he put me second row. I think, pretty sure it was. Again, the same old brief: stand there, tackle there, run there, be all right, working out. So I got in with them, but some of those boys, that was really clicky. So they're all boys that some of them knew each other before the Navy. They'd grown up playing rugby league together before the Navy and still played in the same squad then. But that said, loads of good opportunities. So I went around quite a lot with them, playing rugby league all over. I remember going up Leeds was a good one. Played in their stadium. We were the warm-up match before the main Leeds match. What was that for? Oh, we done a Royal Navy State of Origin. That's what it was. It was Navy East versus Navy West. It was Plymouth versus Portsmouth, if I remember right. So that was a really good opportunity. I remember that. That's when I first found out what Jack 3D was as well. You know, the pre-workout. Do you remember that?
No, mate, do I know what? No.
Well, all the lads were eating it like it was like it was donuts, smashing pre-workout in. I was like, I'll get onto this stuff.
And how was it playing in a like a big stadium like that? You probably not realised how iconic it is in rugby league, really, have you?
No, well that's it. So it meant nothing to me at the time. But yeah, we'd done a after the match. So not loads of people come to watch us before the match, obviously. But by the time we finished, there was not a full stadium. There was plenty of people there. And I remember we won, and we'd done a walk around with the cup. And then there was like announcements like saying thank you to our special forces and all that stuff. And we just did a big lap of honour, and the whole stadium was there cheering, clapping. And what a moment, honestly. You know, when you hear people talk about moments, like, oh, it was amazing, you had to be there, and you think, stop being cheesy, mate. It really was an iconic moment, something you'll remember for a long time. Do you know what I mean? I remember being so proud and so chuffed just to walk around, and even the armed forces, I think, it's very rare you get a thank you. So it was nice for people to see that people actually do care about you. It was a hell of a moment, that.
When you're serving, mate, just to go slightly off subject, do you feel that you're took for granted?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, especially if you're in a town where there are armed forces. So, for instance, Plymouth. There's been, I get it in one sense. There's been lots of idiots in the forces that start fights and do whatever and annoy women and whatever they've done. Yeah. And it gives you all a bad name, but that's unfair, isn't it? You may as well say, well, all men are pigs. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's, I get it to one sense, but then I also think that's unfair to treat all of us quite poorly. So, like, you were told you couldn't go out in uniform. Not that I want to go out in uniform, but in America, if I went out in uniform, I'd get free entry to anything I walked up to. Whereas in the UK,
you're a target.
Exactly, don't make yourself a target. So, 100% took for granted, definitely.
Right. And then going back on topic, mate, how did you find the differences flicking back into between the two cords? So the little intricacies that you used to in union, how did you find rugby league? So how did you find getting back 10 and getting up playing the ball? And the tackle's more of a wrestling rugby league, mate, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think at that time, because I wasn't playing loads of rugby, if you can imagine, it was just when I could get flown off in 2 bits.
Rather.
Yeah, it was okay. And I didn't know loads about rugby league at the time anyway. My role literally was just take a pass and do one line here and run into them. Do you know what I mean? It was pretty much that. So I was all right with it. I think the biggest one was getting back 10. I was really fit, but for some reason, that's just a whole different level of fitness, isn't it? It's just something different. Yeah. It's totally different, isn't it? Just to run backwards and stand there and tackle straight away. But that was the only thing that stood out to me at that point. Yeah.
So when you're on your notice into leave, mate, what happens? Is it, can they refuse leave for the start?
They can't refuse you, but they can make you do the whole year. That's what they did for me. They can shorten it. You don't have to make you sit and wait a year. That's just them. What happens is you get the top dog, the captain, come down and tell you you're making a grave mistake. There's no work on the outside. There's nothing out there. What you're going to be, your job's not done here. You've got plenty of development left in you. And you think, I don't even know who you are. How do you know this? And yeah, you feel. So by this point, you've got to imagine I'm 20, 26, say 25, whatever it might be, mid-20s. I'm a fully grown man. I'm not daft. I know what I'm doing. I'm committed. And it felt like a strong arm technique or trying to convince you to do something. and change your
Tripping,
mind. Yeah, and like
yeah.
trying to like twist you or push you, or and I can imagine it's quite a horrible feeling if you're a bit more naive or younger lad or something like that, or a bit more vulnerable. I can imagine it'd be horrendous because it felt like, because you got one hand, you got all the lads saying, "Oh, my mate just left and he's offshore now earning £1 billion a minute," and you got someone else, the captain, saying, "You'll be nothing. You'll be homeless. You'll have nothing."
I was going to say that, yeah, threatening the homeless card and stuff.
Yeah, and I remember the only thing, I was so committed. I thought, "How dare you? I mean, you don't know anything about me. We've probably met once my whole life just to tell me I'm in trouble." And that's about it. I remember the only thing I remember thinking is, the only thing I was nervous is because they were making me do a whole year. You can't apply for a job, can you? You can't go for a job and say, "Oh yeah, great, you got the job. I'll see you in a year's time." So you've got to give up a career, and in the hopes that 9 months-ish down the line, 10 months down the line, there'll be jobs open that you can start applying for, and that you'll get it in time. That was the only thing that I was a bit like, "Oh, I don't like that. I don't know how is this going to work."
It was the unknown for you, Keiron. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah,
that's what frightened you a little bit.
Well, we've all got to earn money, haven't we? You can't stop it.
Of course we have. Yeah,
we're all one paycheck away from being homeless, I think, aren't we? So we got to keep that income coming in. So that was the only bit that made me nervous. That was it.
Yeah. So really, like, mate, you could have had lads there that were solely there because they've been bullied into staying. So you're carrying them effectively, aren't you? Because they're there in body, but not in spirit, not in
exactly.
morale,
and there was plenty of people like that. You've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
They'd be much better off, instead of trying to bully you to retain you, to actually make efforts to make retention higher, i.e. make it a better job, pay you better. Because that was one of the biggest arguments we had. Is at the time, I think I was probably on 35 grand, say, per annum. And then you've got lads offshore saying, "I won't get out of bed for that." And you think, and the argument will always be, "Well, you're not offshore, you're on a ship, you're on HM government," because even this. So I remember being away from my house for, well, put it this way, I was in my own home for 54 days one year. That was it. And a whole year, I was in Cardiff for 54 days of a year. And I remember thinking, if this was any other job, I've definitely hit the criteria to not pay tax. Whereas that job, the ship was classed as government land, therefore you're still in the UK. You think, what a con. What an absolute con.
Yeah, so they got you bent over everywhere, haven't they?
But yeah, you'd pay tax on fags.
Yeah.
It's mental. Also, you'd get fags tax free. That was it. Sorry. Yeah. So anyway, I digress. But yeah. So I can't think what the question was now. But yeah. So I was very nervous about that. And yes, you're right. There'd be people that were just being carried that shouldn't really be there.
No, that was it, mate. It would basically people be there in body, but not in performance, not in morale, not in desire. They've just been forced.
Yeah, forced to keep going.
Staying.
A bum on the seat, isn't it?
Basically, mate, just another number to put it on a list, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when you leave, mate, was the fear realised, or was there opportunities there for you?
Loads of jobs. Couldn't move for jobs.
Yeah. Right.
And this goes back to what I said about my dad saying, get a trade, get experience, and you'll be okay. And yeah, there was plenty on available. So what I did, I immediately went into, where did I start? Oh, I went back with my dad briefly, working in Scotland. Did I do that first? I might be getting confused, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the order, put it this way. I was working in Scotland on the Queen Elizabeth, I think was the new aircraft carrier. I was working on there as a pipe fitter. I didn't do too long up there, maybe a month or something like that. And then I worked
in one whole stint, okay.
Yeah, one solid thing as a contractor. Then I did Bristol Water. And this was only for like 3 weeks or something. So I joined Bristol Water as an engineer, and I had to live within a certain distance of the site, for emergencies. And I said, yeah, I'll do that, no problem. They said, well, you need to give us an address to prove you've done that. I said, yeah, all right, I'll do that. So I did. I found one of those like bed sits. Now you can rent like just a bedroom.
Yeah.
I did that, gave him that address. I did one night there, and I didn't even view the place. I just gave the woman some money. I said, yeah, it'll be all right. So I'm only here to sleep and I'll go home. I probably won't do it every night anyway, just for the form. And the first night there, I paid her this big deposit and that too. First night there, I was like, I'm off straight to bed. Have a good one. I walked up the stairs and littered all up the stairs was all the like dirty clothes and washing and that. She was an older woman, like all dirty pants and things. Like, oh, not keen on that. Kept walking, got into the bedroom. I was like, what did I think first? Yeah, I was there. I was like, bloody hell, I'm cold. I looked, the window was smashed. Like, wonderful. Then I was sat on the bed trying to sleep. And I honestly had the worst night's sleep of my life. I was like, what is going on? I looked under the bed. There was no mattress. There was no spring, sorry. It was just a door. She put a mattress on a door. So I was like, friggin' heck. In the morning then, walked up, freezing, getting ready for work, walked downstairs. She had this smelly old dog, stank, like a horrible dog smell, minging. And opened the fridge, make a bowl of cereal. Started pulling the cereal, and I'm looking in the fridge, and I've never seen it, and I didn't think it was possible. There was pickled gherkins, I think it was, that had mold growing on them. And I'm sat there looking at it thinking, can mold grow on something pickled? I didn't think it could. Like, that must have been there for years. And then it put me off my food. And then that day I texted her and said, yeah, I'm not coming back here, no chance. She said, do you want your deposit back? I was like, well, obviously, yeah. I've only been there one night. I said, you keep the month's worth of rent, I'll just give you that as faith, but I want the deposit. She went, well, I've just paid for an alternator in my car. Like, that's not my problem. Give me my money back. But the moral of all this is I couldn't work in Bristol Wall. It was because of that. It just put me off massively. So then I got a phone. I put my CV was still out there, I should say. Got a phone call for a job in a power company. And he said, oh, look, we got a job in a power company in Newport near you, da-da-da-da. I said, oh, look, mate, and I'd previously had a conversation with Meg that we've got no family in Cardiff anymore. What about if we want kids? We need family around us. Is the long-term plan to move up north, back to our side? Anyway, this guy rang. I said, oh, I think I might not live here anymore, man. I'm not really sure. I'm a bit all over the place. I said, where are you thinking of moving? I said, Widnes. You've probably never heard of it. He said, yeah, we got a site in St. Helens. I said, trying to do a job interview. I'll come to you and we'll go from there. So I did the interview. He gave me a job on the spot. I think within a week, we packed up everything, put the house on the market. Yeah, just put the house on the market, left and moved up north. Lived inside Meg's mum's living room for a couple of months till we bought a new house. And then here I am. Man, it just happened like so fast.
It's just meant to be, Key, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. I really believe it was on a whim, but I think it was meant to be, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So in between just finding where you want to go, was rugby ever on the cards, mate, or was you just getting life sorted first?
Yeah, life sorted. Yeah, when I left the Navy, it was the last thing I could think about, to be totally honest with you. It wasn't really interesting. And you got to remember, something I've not said is, when I played for Navy under-23s, I can't think how long I played for them for. I think I quit rugby then. So I quit rugby when I was like 19. And the reason was, I remember that I'd had enough of how strict it was. So, for instance, that Navy squad, they were telling me what to eat, what training I need to do, what type of lifting and weights and things, what type of sprints I need to be doing. And
even though you weren't on the payroll for that?
No, you don't pay for that. It was all just so intense and so much for like a 19-year-old.
Sucked the fun out of it for you, didn't it?
It did, and that's been a bit of a thing for me throughout my rugby career, I'd say, is when it doesn't get fun, I tend to leave because I've got better things to be doing. So I actually took up boxing, lost loads of size, become a cruiserweight boxer, again for the Navy. And if I thought rugby was strict, boxing was a whole other level.
Do you know what? I wouldn't put you in boxing.
Right? You think I'm soft?
Yeah.
Trying to fight?
No, just well, not with this cunt, mate. No, all the biscuit back.
Do you not see me bang out water on the trampoline? On the sea castle thing.
No, it's just because of your nature. I do think you've got to be semi-different to be able to be happy to get in. And I say that, and we've played rugby, and you do enjoy smashing someone.
Exactly, yeah.
It's
I think they're the
ones
to watch out for. People like you, quiet ones, really nice ones, but then go on a park.
No, I just think it takes a different beast to get in a ring, mate, if I tell you the truth.
Right.
It's a bit
Okay.
like, yeah, and it's very different. Like, I imagine sparring's a nice little learner because they're not in there to bang you clean out.
Mm.
But the minute the business comes, I can imagine someone hitting your back with real intent is very different.
Mm. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
But it's I suppose like any sport, isn't it? You train, you prepare, you get nervous, you just do it, don't you?
yeah. Something you enjoyed though, mate.
I did. I really did. I
Yeah,
didn't do it that long, if I'm totally honest with you. I done a tournament, didn't win. Um, I think I was cheated, but anyway, there we go.
yeah.
But I did
How
enjoy
was
it.
the scoring? Like the Olympic boxing, is that how it's scored, or is it just like proper boxing? I don't want to sound dead disrespectful saying that. I don't mean proper boxing, but the Olympic boxing used to have like the colour on the white on the gloves, didn't they?
Yes,
And
that's
that
it.
was the
Yeah, and you have
scoring
to.
zone.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, and that's why I felt I
Yeah,
was a bit cheated because my gloves were bright red from his blood, and his were clean. We
yeah.
hardly made
And he
anything.
still,
Do you know what I mean? It was just it
yeah,
kept going into blocks, and he just kept hitting my arms. And that, but somehow he beat me on score. So I think I was cheated because we had to stop the fight twice just to clean his face. But anyway, that's a
yeah.
different story.
No, it is. It's mad, isn't it? And I don't know. It might sound a daft question. No disrespect to boxers, then by the way, like, I don't want my nose fixing. Well, all I do actually, but
Yeah, yeah, sign up.
yeah. But how is it competing on your own rather than in a team? Or is that why you done it, just to have a little taste of that as well?
I do. You're right. I do remember a bit of that. To be fair, I do remember thinking I've had enough of other people letting me down around me. Um, and yeah, just other people. It's uncontrollable, isn't it? With other people. Someone wants to go out the night
Yeah,
before a match and turn up tired and not in the mood and miserable and moan, shout to the ref. What can you do? I mean, it's totally out of your control. Whereas, yeah, in a ring, it's you and one other man. That's your lot. Whatever happens is up to you, isn't it? So you're right.
wide in place. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So when you come up here, mate, what teams were you looking at, or was it just
What?
because you moved to Widnes, the Wids was the
Why?
option?
I'm trying to think why I picked Wids. I remember sending a message. I'll get onto that in a second, but I remember. So Meg obviously grew up here, and she was
Yeah,
saying, "I'm sorry to say it, but she was saying, don't go for the Wids. Definitely not."
was
Um,
she?
yeah. You can have a fight with her, have a word with her.
No, you're all right.
She's hard, mind you.
Yeah.
No, but I remember saying you should go for is it the Maris, where they were still a team
Also
with it.
rugby league. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, well, was she saying that then? So I'm getting confused. She definitely said don't go for the Wids, but that way. And she listed other teams to go for higher standard, I think maybe whatever. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I picked up Wids. I really don't know because I didn't know anyone. There's absolutely no reason as far as I could see other than maybe it was closer.
Maybe because it was Union as well, mate.
Possibly. So I sent a message to the Wids. What would it have been then? Probably Facebook, was it? Or something.
Yeah.
And said, oh, look, new guy in town, looking to start. I had a nice message back, but as the times went on and I got to know people, it turns out it was Juzzy and who messaged.
What, they messaged you back?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, and he said I had a right cretin message about joining. He said I would have told you to piss off if I known it was you. Yeah, so I just sent a message, come to training. I think I did a couple of matches, second team, I think, not many. And straight into the first.
So speak to us about when you wrapped up, mate. What was your impression of the club, the facilities? How did you come as the new you? Is this when you were a bit more open and
yeah,
out there a little bit more? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. Well, no, I think so, yeah, definitely. So the club, when it turned up, everyone was dead nice. And to be honest, it was something I've always said about the North. I credit where credit's due. Coming up here, everyone was so nice to me. Like ridiculously nice. At times when you think they've got to be false here or something. Because I remember I remember going to a hairdresser with Meg, sat there, she was getting something done. I just moved up here, so I was just learning the area. And those girls were in this parlour and they're going, bloody hell, who's that? Who's he? Where's he come from? He's not from up here. I was like, oh, I'm from Cardiff. That explains it. You're right, love. like outgoing and loud and yeah. But yeah, come to the rugby team and everyone's dead nice. I mean, you know them all. They're all sound lads, aren't they? Really nice boys. Made me feel really welcome. straight in there, joking, laughing. Classic rugby team, do you know what I mean? It's very rare you find a rugby team where everyone's not dead nice, isn't it?
No, that's it, mate. Yeah, especially we're all there for the common goal, aren't we?
So at the time, I think it was like a Pock, didn't you, yourself?
Yeah.
Welsh, was there, Lammy, Whitty, all the boys were there, weren't they? It was a very good team, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a successful team as well. They were good.
It was, yeah.
So it was a nice. I was going to say it was nice to come to a team where everyone knew their position, their role, and because we all know you play better with good people around you, don't you? So I think that brought out better abilities in me as well. That makes sense.
Yeah, and the level, then that team, people that were playing in that team that you just mentioned, that was still when we were pre-Westy, weren't we? So I think you come as we were probably at our best. So was that level something you were happy with? And because you've not known what you're coming to, mate, have you? You just said it yourself. And what was the eye opener for you? Do you think the second team to first team's a big gap, Key?
I don't remember it being that massive a change, to be honest, at the time. It's obviously a lot slicker and different elements, but I don't remember being like, oh God, I've moved up a massive level here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So either they were good or first weren't as good as we thought.
That joking aside, you don't know, do you, until you've done it?
Yeah, but no, I remember coming in and I had no issues with the quality and level of rugby we were at. I really enjoyed it. It was just a good group of lads, good at the business, good at the job, and good at socialising as well, weren't they? Loved to play.
Yeah, no, we enjoyed both sides of the pitch, mate, didn't we?
Definitely.
So, was it you won Player of the Year one year, Key, didn't you? Was that your first full season with us? That
might have been. It was dead early. Yeah.
Yeah. So talk us through that. Any standout moments for you with that, or are you just going about your business?
Yeah, I'm going to sound awfully boring here and just say, just playing my game. just.
Did you feel good being a while too, though? Was it you were just? I think that's what the Wids are quite good at. You just get a free roll, mate. You know what you're good at and let you do it, don't they?
Yeah, I think so. So I think at the time, was I not blindside flanker when I first joined with you? I think. I have a feeling I was, because I got a feeling I got away with just being a bit lazier when it was opposition ball and open play, because obviously I'm sat blind. But yeah, you're right. I was just doing my thing. You'd have like Lamio, for instance, trying to say, come on a ball here, crash ball here, or run a line here. So you'd have some good leadership there to trying to bring you into different plays. But as a whole, I was just doing my thing, which I think my thing has always been not trying to stand out. I'm not saying lads actively try and stand out, but I'm not looking to be on the wing or in the middle of the park unless I need to be for a move or a run. I'm more about trying just to do my job, which is win rucks, win balls, be a nuisance, tackle, and just be all over the place. That's my intention every time, is just to be absolutely everywhere and just do the nitty gritty shitty bit that no one necessarily likes.
Well, the back line to do what they don't.
Yeah, and typically tend to go unnoticed, don't you? But someone's got to do them, they. So yeah.
To be honest, I think it's something the Wids see. I think, mate. I think the club are quite good at noticing when people are doing the dirty,
do you think? Right, okay,
unwanted stuff. Yeah. Oh, that's how I've felt in the past. Maybe not from coaching staff, mate.
I don't know.
Because they expect it from you, don't they? Because it is our job.
Yeah, and I think I'd probably align myself to you in terms of if I had to pick someone similar playing style. Not to bring you down at all, but I think you were very similar, weren't you? You were there's a job to be done.
Yeah, just
do it.
And try and enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
How had you been with injuries, mate, before you come to us?
I don't know if it's age or what, but they've caught up with me fast, you know that. So before moving up north, playing rugby, I honestly don't think I had many. I really would struggle to think of a time I've been injured. Now, we're talking, I'm younger, fitter arguably at the time. I don't know. But there was definitely been a step change, as you know. So what did I have in total? We had the gammy finger, which didn't stop me, obviously. It just meant one of my fingers just bent weird. I can't fix that either still. I can't even flatten it on a table. Looks weird. So you got that. So that was nothing. But then we had torn the cartilage in my rib cage, didn't I? That was horrendous. Probably the worst thing I've ever done. And tried to go back on the pitch, just put some tape around my ribs so I couldn't breathe. Classic. Nailed the fix. So we had that. Then it went on to my ankles then, didn't it? So I had the gammy ankle, which still plagues me.
So is that something you'd probably struggle to shake off, Keiron?
Yeah, that ankle does my head in. I hate it. But these were all like, other than the finger, obviously, but all these were like all a month off type of things, weren't they? They weren't over. They were like, I'd have to have a month off and come back into it, but they just kept happening. So I remember in my grand planning and scheming of life that I thought, well, what I'll do is, I used to find it be the start of a season I get injured. It always used to wind me up. So in my head I thought, well, what's different? Well, I'm not seasoned, I'm not fit, I'm not used to getting tackled and punched and kicked all day. So what's the best thing to do? Well, stay seasoned 24/7. So that's when I took up rugby league. So I'd play rugby union, winter, rugby league, summer. And that was the thinking behind it. There was method in the madness to play all year.
Yeah, the muscle memory stuff.
And that was it. And I probably, I don't know if it worked for me, but I would argue that there's got to be some sense in that, because your body gets used to getting hit, doesn't it? And it gets harder. Yeah. And there's no amount of lifting weights in the gym that can equate to that. So that was my thinking. And did it work? Did it work? Did I get injuries in league then? I don't think I did I? I don't think.
No, you come back pretty healthy most of the time.
Yeah, I think I did, yeah. And I mean, we were playing league on summer when the pitch was like concrete, stupid. Right. So I think it did work. And then what? Yeah. So and eventually, I got my shoulder. Well, see, the shoulder injury. So I've had, for those listening, if you don't know, I've had an operation on my shoulder, and I had the op throughout COVID. I had it during COVID. It was when Aidan was just born, maybe 2 months old. Yeah. So, but I don't know when I did that injury. That's the interesting thing. So it got to, my shoulder's always been a bit odd, bit of pain every now and then. And I remember that the reason I decided to see a doctor, I was driving in the car, and then when you got one arm on the steering wheel, I could leave it on the steering wheel, and then it would just drop. It would just run out of all strength and energy. It would just collapse on me all the time. So there's got to be something wrong with your shoulder. So I went to doctors. I was trying to get scans, trying to do all sorts. I didn't do anything. And I think it was my own fault, because, well, what is it in pain? Is it 0 to 10? What's 10? It's 10. I'm dead. Yeah. 2 then. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, when did you do it? Do you remember an actual injury? No. So I think I've downplayed it myself. Possibly, I don't know. Anyway, went on and on and on this. I'm sorry boring you about the shoulder, but it went on and on.
No.
And then eventually, in my new place of work, I get private medical healthcare. So I just thought, I'm just going to use these, because this is just, I think I was about a year and a half of moaning about this shoulder, and I still hadn't even had an MRI scan, not even one scan.
I remember this. Yeah, I remember this.
I was fuming about it. So I went private, and this isn't a stab at NHS, it's just my situation that happened. Went private. Within a week, I had an MRI scan. A week after that, he said, you've ripped your cartilage, if you can imagine a clock face, from like the 12 all the way around to the 9 on the front, and then like the 12 to the 3 on the back. So my shoulder was just hanging on by a tatters. And I was still going to the gym. I was doing, I mean, we're talking weeks before, I'm doing like 200k deadlifts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And my shoulder's only just clinging on for dear life. So yeah, so I had to have a shoulder up, drilled into a load of things and tied a load of bits together. But then it meant I couldn't play for a year, I think it was. I'm pretty sure he said no competitive rugby for a year. So that really put me on the back foot then. And then the final injury, the creme de la creme, was I came back for one session. He who should not be named, because I think he gets still upset about it himself. I wouldn't say he was messing around really, but no, when you hook someone's leg when they're on a bag.
Yeah.
He did that, and I was hopping backwards on my leg, and I tried, and that was my dodgy ankle rolled over.
I remember that as well, actually. Yeah. It was dead innocuous, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I've had scans on it, and I have torn 2 ligaments across the top of my ankle, proper tears, but I've just refused to get surgery. I don't want to have a surgery on them. That's it.
Yeah.
That's my plague of injuries.
Yeah, no, it's like unlucky though when you think about how they've come about. I know it's what when you play a sport, you know, it can happen. But
It's just
been drastically unlucky.
It's just been one after the other. Then you had COVID, then this, that, then I had a son. It just meant there was a big chunk of my life where I wasn't playing rugby. And I got to be honest, I got used to it and I enjoyed it. I'll be totally honest. I was like, I'm not missing it. But then there was a point, probably, I don't know, 8 months, 6 months ago, something like that, when I had the conversation with Meg and said, I need it. I need to get back to rugby. I have to for my mental state. I really, really. It sounds strange in this sentence probably, but I think we are meant to be physical. I think humans aren't meant to sit around all day on their ass. And going to the gym, for some might work, but for me, I thoroughly enjoy the gym. I love doing weights, do it every day, but it's not enough. I need that contact. I need physical work and hitting people and them hitting me and that type of stuff. That's just me. Maybe I think all humans like it really, but definitely for me. So the conversation said, look, I need to go back, but I can't be as rigid as I was, i.e. Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturday, every single week, because I've got a family now.
Life's happened, yeah.
So, exactly, and I need time with my family.
Yeah. No, of course you do, mate, and you've given enough to clubs and the Navy and stuff. It's time for you to do your bit. And come and go as you please, because whether people like it or not at the club, that is what the club's for.
Yeah,
isn't it? It
is.
You're not getting paid, Keiron. You're not.
No, exactly. You're the same as me. I did get paid once by you, though. Do you know that? There was rumours I was getting paid. And it's true. Whereas I got paid in petrol money.
Was it the train? Yeah, the petrol money.
I got lied to. I got told.
Bear tokens.
I got told that because I was doing shifts at the time, I got told if you cancel your shift and come in, we'll pay you what you get paid. I was like, well, you won't, because I get paid all right, to be fair with you. No, we will. So I was like, okay, well, so we'll give you 100 quid. I was like, bloody hell, all right then. I don't know if I'm getting everyone in trouble here. God knows, clip it out. But
it's not getting clipped out, mate.
But anyway, so I said, yeah, cool. Envelope turns up on the day. Secret envelope, secret handshake. A load of petrol vouchers. Knowing that crap petrol station down the road that's closed now.
Yeah, boobies.
yeah, I looked and thought, this isn't money. What am I going to do with that? I've never been so cheated in my life.
It serves you right.
We all know you were paid, John. Shut up, mate.
Cider tokens, mate. Cider tokens and diet plans. Bet you didn't get one of them, did you?
I don't think you did you?
Yeah, but I didn't add air to it, mate. Hey, Saturday night Paul's chippy, always, wasn't it? So what would be the ultimate goal this season for you then, mate, on your comeback year?
Do you know what are we on now? We've got 5-6 matches out from the end of this season, then some cup matches or whatever. For me, exactly as it stands, is to just come back into it. As simple as that. I want to come back. I've got to integrate back in with the lads. A lot of faces have changed. I think there's lads I actually don't even know the names, so I need to make an effort there. But yeah, just integrate back in the team, get my fitness back up, definitely, because I'm nowhere near as fit as I was.
Are you feeling that, mate?
I wouldn't say feel it, but I just know. So I'm not going around the park like panting. I don't mean like uncontrollably, but I know I'm not as fast. I know I'm not as strong. I know I'm not that physical presence that I was. I know I've got older, but it's just a matter of training to get that back. That's easy. So I've got to get that back, definitely. So my goals, just integrate back in, get my fitness back where it should be, and go from there. Really, I'm not setting any rigid milestones. If a club wants me back, fair enough, and if not, I get it, because again, there's been a big turnover. There's a lot of lads. I mean, I'm back now as second row as it stands, so there's lads that are obviously better than me or got my position in the back row, and that's fine. That's for coaches to make that choice. So it's not a matter of just coming back and doing my thing. I've got to fit in with what else is going on as well.
Yeah, your game now so pull you through where your body can't get to for a bit, mate, won't it? It's
that's
you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So a couple of daft questions for you. So any pre-match superstitions, which we touched on a bit before, didn't we?
Yeah. So the only thing that I wouldn't say is it a superstition? I don't know if it's a superstition per se, but the only thing I have to do before a match, or my confidence will immediately drop, is tape. I need to strap my ankle strap my wrists. Those are the absolute bare minimum that needs strapping on it. Sounds daft.
Yeah.
But if that ankle's not strapped sufficiently, I'm going out there thinking, oh, I might hurt it, I might twinge, I might do something.
Yeah.
So you can argue it's a superstition if you want. But yeah, so my pre-match taping regime is critical to me playing well.
Yeah. Just a mind pleaser, but it helps, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Yeah. So the toughest player you played with and against. So I don't need the name that you played against, just if you can remember like the club or whatever he's played for, mate.
What I'd say, I'm going to go two ways with this. That's right, John. It's your thing. You tell me.
Yeah.
Tell me to shut up if you
No,
want.
the definition of tough is very different for everybody, Keith.
Yeah,
that's
that's exactly it. Yeah. So in terms of match tough, I'm going to go with Tom O'Neill, if I'm totally honest. And I've always wanted to play against him to see what it's like to be on the other side, just to see how we'd fare up against each other. But yeah, in terms of match tough, Tom O'Neill, you could give him the ball and he'll run into you all day, and probably the minute one strength he'll run into you is the same as minute 80. I mean, he doesn't let up. So Tom O'Neill definitely. So he's a very fit, strong lad. Fair play to him. I mean, you got to be good if you've got legs that big, haven't you? You're a waste otherwise.
He's a unit, isn't he?
That's it. You got to use what his mother gave him. And then in terms of hard, then, and this is a massive stereotype, and I shouldn't offend them. I don't think any Fijian whatsoever, any Fijian that I've played against is an absolute beast every single time. They could be the smallest, skinniest person on the planet, and they will smack you into next year. I remember, if I've got time for a very quick one, I remember a guy called B. Bonamasi was playing for a team against us, Fijian lad. He was a big lad, to be fair. This was rugby league. Thought, I'm going to have him. I'm running straight into him. Don't scare me. I gave him my all, gave him everything I had, straight into him. He picked me up like it was a piece of paper and slammed me on the floor. And then he was on top of me. And then I was still there going, is that it? Is that all you got? Come on, we'll go again. Really giving it the all. My opportunity came again. Off I went. I thought, you won't do it twice. Picked me up like a piece of paper, slammed me on the floor. I thought, I'm not running into this guy ever again. He's ridiculous. But that is a testament to all of them. I think they're very, something triggers in them and they can just play rugby like no man.
They can't make it gifted, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I've been with you in that, and we've had a few drinks from time to time, mate, haven't you? But if I put the microphone in your hand, what are you giving us?
Yeah, karaoke is not my thing, I'll be honest. I've got to be really pissed to do it. If I had to do it, I would do any song if someone made me, as long as the lyrics are there. But if I had to pick a song for me to do comfortably that I'd actually enjoy, it would have to be like hip-hop, rap, Dre, Snoop, something like that. I'd happily do the oldies. Yeah, happily do them. Forgot about Dre. I think I'm pretty confident I know 99% of the words for it. So something along those lines I would do, yeah.
Brilliant, mate. So if you could go back, what would you tell a younger you from what you've learned, mate?
No one cares. That's what I tell myself. Absolutely no one cares. I spent too much of my life worrying. What if I'm not good enough? What if I cock it up? What if they think this? What if that? What? End of the day, you're one in, how many is it? 8 billion people on the planet? I don't know anymore. Absolutely no one cares. And any cock-ups you do will only be surpassed by someone else's cock-up next week. So as I would just tell myself, just do your best, but don't panic, because you'll get results in whatever you do.
Yeah. No, that's fair play, that, mate. I like that. So, if you're willing to, mate, a 1 to 15 that you played with?
So, I've got to say, I've had to cheat. I have prepared for this, and I've cheated.
Loads of people do, mate.
No, there's more than that. I had to ask a couple of people because I couldn't remember certain positions, but I knew who they were. But, so anyway, so it is my 1 to 15 with a slight nudge from others. But
no worries.
Front row, Wildy, Juzzy, Arnie.
Wildy, Juzzy, Arnie. Yeah.
Second row, bit of Mike Jones.
Yeah.
Then I went for Tom Farmer. Now, this team I'm picking here is a team similar to myself. I get the job done. I'm probably a little bit tougher. So you'll see this as I go through this list. But yeah,
it's an from 5. Yeah.
It is, definitely is. Yeah. Okay. Back row. Can't pick myself, obviously. Tom O'Neill, and Tom Mack.
Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 Toms as the flanks.
Yeah.
Number 8, I was really torn on this because I wanted to say he's the worst player I've ever played with at times because he's got a pathetic back made out of biscuits. But sometimes when he's good, he's good. So
Rich teeth.
So your honourable self, John Hetherington at 8.
I'll take that, thank you.
You're welcome, mate.
You need the biscuits, mate.
Coming on to the back end, so we got 9. I've got
Yeah.
for Maffey. I used to enjoy playing with Maffey. He's good.
Yeah, what a bloke.
Yeah. Coming up to 10 then, Kev Ledbetter.
Yeah.
Kev solid, isn't he?
Yeah.
There's a reason his name's been on that board. Was it 6 years, whatever it is? He's a great player, good guy. But it's his lead in the park, I think, is that, at least knowing everything's going on. Can't fault it.
Yeah. So would he be your captain as well, Key?
I probably would, yeah. So,
Probably,
I've tried to make the side out of, there's no point in me picking people in Cardiff or the Navy, it'd be pointless for you. So I tried to pick the side out of people I've played with since I've been up here. And it's an amalgamation of the original team I first played with Lamina, and the really successful team that I played with for quite a lot of the time. So it's an amalgamation of them two, really. Who we got then? So the wings.
Your wingers, yeah.
I've got some honourable mentions here, and I was really torn.
Right.
Pock definitely made it.
Yeah.
And the 3, I can't pick 3, but the other 3 that's worth shouting out, and I wasn't interested which way to go. Got Gav Hatton. We got Krause now coming through. It's his first name.
Good player, Krause.
Yeah, really good. And Anthony Ledbetter. My gut feeling, going off his team I was picking, I'd probably go for Anthony, just because you can't pick one Ledbetter without the other. They'll get upset. And no one likes to see the Ledbetters upset, do they? It's not worth your time. Going to centres then, Gaz Riley and Welshie. I can't remember which way round they played, to be honest. I think Gaz was 12 when he. Welshie
That's
30.
the right way, mate. Gaz and Welshie,
Yeah, they were wonderful playing off each other, weren't they? Really good.